Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a great viewer question. That's to talk about the communication deficit in the covert narcissist. When we talk about a covert narcissist, we're talking about someone who has a pathological sense, really, of self-importance, to the degree to which they feel that they're above, superior to, or an authority above others, and that others are sort of not as intelligent, smart, talented, lucky, wealthy, whatever it is. I think that they must operate with this sort of sense that there's me and then there's other people, and it's just kind of like the genius, how does it feel to be so smart when everybody else is so dumb, or, something of that nature. But oftentimes this sort of entitlement is unwarranted. It's something that they just sort of perpetuate and cycle in their own mind and become very preoccupied with this. And oftentimes they then expect special favors because of this, and demand sort of unquestioning compliance with their demands. So in other words, I'm just going to go blow past whatever laws, regulations, protocol. I'm not having it. I'm going up here. So they don't oftentimes, or can't observe normal protocol that businesses, institutions, relationships, schools, religious, what have you, that they, demark, that they aren't having anything to do with it. Not me. I don't have to comply with that. You have to comply to me. So they have oftentimes this arrogance, or just sort of what people might consider bossiness, oftentimes which is unwarranted, but by the tone of the voice, by the pointedness of their speech, oftentimes people get taken aback or intimidated if they don't know better. And then they cave into the demands, they cave into the compliance, they put them on the special list, they start running like it's a fire drill to take care of them. And then people get into this knee-jerk reaction around them rather than being able to be assertive, being able to lay down the law, be able to say this is what it is. Oftentimes they can't even get a word or two edgewise, word-wise, because they're already sort of on this tirade, if you will, and kind of expect you not to challenge them or to go unquestioned. But you have to question certain things that are unreasonable, unfair, intolerable, out of line, not up to snuff, not up to par, and hurtful to others, or where you're taking advantage, or you're not giving to others. It reminds me kind of like, have you ever seen someone with a lot of money who's very stingy? It's like they have goo gobs of money, but they want to get the coupon, they want to get the discount, they don't feel that they should have to pay this, even though they're dealing with a charity or something that's not overpriced or something that's reasonable. It's like they just want to get that one little more because they feel, that they are entitled, and because of who they are, because I'm me, because I'm this guy, because I'm this big strapping guy, because I'm this guy in the suit, because I'm the guy in the tie, because I'm the lady with the diamonds, or whatever, because I've got big hair, because I've got this skin, because I've got these fingernails, or whatever it is, I've got these shoes, whatever it is, they think that they are extra special. And so they oftentimes will then very much reward people who cater to and coddle them in their needs. And it can be very silly and very outrageous for a lot of people to have to bow down to these others, and oftentimes I think that their relationships with these people who kind of they treat like the indentured servant, if you will. I guess that's just kind of a term, but rather than being respectful of them, they just sort of have a resentment for them because they're sort of inferior, or you can't get what's going on up here. Just look at like Bill Gates, who's vastly intelligent, but who treats, who can work on world problems and has sort of this, not an ego, um, I mean, so not all people who are accomplished are, have this mentality, I think, and oftentimes they will monopolize the relationship. They do, I'm looking here, this is a very true list from Mayo, is monopolizing conversations and belittling or looking down on others that they perceive as inferior. In other words, these are the people who will, talk all over you. You try to say something, yes, we're doing this, and then they go, really, you didn't hear me? And you're just having a normal response, and they'll just try to crush you. And it's very unfair, and it oftentimes makes people very angry. So rather than, getting angry, take a step back and get very silent. You might, realize that this makes people very bitter, like a bitter onion. And it's really strange, and I'm sorry, I have a lot of parallels, but I went to this sort of Asian grocery store, or it's more than a big grocery store, it's like a big mall where they have like food and gifts and chocolates and fresh items in bakery and like sushi and the sushi bowls and things like this, all authentic, really delicious, really great quality. They make this one bowl where it's like a very sweet sushi rice, and then the uni tuna, and then they put on some sauce, which is sweet, but then they always put on these onions, which are very bitter. And the bitterness sort of stays on your tongue, and it makes you want to get silent. Like, so to me, it's kind of like, and I'm not going to get that bowl anymore because I don't like the real bitter onion. It's too strong. It's too overpowering. But it's, to me, there's a parallel between the bitter of the food and the bitter of the relationship that this oftentimes makes people feel. And, when you're being mistreated, you just have to get silent. Even though it might leave a bad taste in your mouth, do not speak at them with the bad taste in your mouth. Do not taint the airwaves. Do not taint the relationship. Yes, you might need to confront it and get it off your chest because there's no reason why you should suffer in silence. But when they're, in this mode, just get very silent. There's nothing you can do to change them. They're just gonna, I call it sort of snowplow over people or steamroll. They just sort of steamroll up over other people. Okay, great. If everybody else is two-dimensional to you, well, these hurt people hurt, wound people wound, and healed people heal. So decide to be the one who's going to step away from the steamroller. Do not be flattened out by them into, a two-dimensional being, which you are not. You are not a machine. You're not a robot. You're not an unfeeling, just robot who gives and gives and gives. You have needs as well. It's okay to acknowledge and validate that. Oftentimes, accepting this is a very difficult, for someone who might be codependent or who might be very programmed into sort of an anxiousness, or you might, would then create sort of an anxious attachment disorder with others, where they feel when they're not in a relationship, they feel very anxious because they're used to always sort of rescuing someone or taking, but it's okay to stop that type of relationship pattern. You will be all the better for it, and it won't plague you anymore. So it's okay to, understand some of these dynamics. And you don't have to, just because you don't comply with their unreasonable expectations does not mean that you're unlovable, stupid, dumb, untalented, or whatever insinuation or meaning that you're taking from this. Realize that that is not the truth. That's thinking that is really sort of been taught that you need to unlearn from your emotional repertoire and set yourself free. Forgive them for this. They know not what they do. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out, peace be with you, and have a beautiful day.